Freeburn! Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today we are playing a game. And what is that game, you might ask? Well, today we are playing Are They the Butthole? And to play this game, I am going to read a story from r/AmITheButthole, and then we shall pass judgment in a segment called Are They the Butthole? Where we answer the question. This story's called, Am I the Butthole for telling my male friend that he's crap at sex? One of my 24-year-old female here, male friends, I'll call Jack, who's a 25-year-old male, is a bit of a lad and very good looking. Jack basically thinks that lad points are important. He's always going on about how many girls he's been with and how high his body count is. I lived with him in a house share for a while, and whenever he brought a girl home, he'd make sure to parade her around by introducing her, spend 15 to 20 minutes in his room having sex, then come out and strut around naked or in his boxers. Yes, he really would. I remember saying a few times, why are you out here? You have a beautiful girl in your room and you're not in there with her? This behavior was pretty common for him, and even though he was an almighty douche, we were still friends. Anyway, after about 8 months of living together, after a drunken night, Jack and I ended up in bed together. Honestly, it was terrible, and having slept with him, I realized something. Jack had a big schlong, which I knew because of his strutting, but he thought that having a big schlong automatically meant he was good at sex, like it just immediately made him amazing in bed. Our sex was crap, like hands down the worst sex I'd ever had. No foreplay, he left the lights and TV on, then unceremoniously shoved himself inside me. The whole thing was basically a race for him to get inside me as quickly as possible. Maybe 10 minutes of uncomfortable jackhammering, then he was done. The next morning, I was really sore because 1, I wasn't wet at all, 2, his schlong was big. But because I was sore, he took that as him doing a bang-up job. Anyway, that experience was a few years ago, and even after all this time, Jack is still the same lad he was and still screws girls like they're lined up on a conveyor belt for him. Back to the present. Recently, my husband and I hosted a barbecue in our garden as gatherings are now allowed. Jack came over as he's in our mutuals group. Of course, after a while, Jack starts going on about the girls he slept with, and even showing up another girl at the party by telling people he'd screwed her. It's then he turns to me and asks if I can prove to the lads how fire he is at sex. Slightly embarrassed but also angry he even mentioned me, I straight up told him he was crap. Basically the worst sex I ever had. I then went on to say what happened and that he only has sex just to say that he's had sex. It wasn't fun, pleasurable, or enjoyable, and for the record, I didn't finish. Amazingly enough, 2 other girls also backed up what I was saying their nights with him were pretty much the same as how I described it. Jack got defensive and angry, but we wouldn't drop it. He eventually left absolutely fuming. My husband, who knows I slept with him years before, said I was insensitive, especially as it seems Jack relies heavily on the lad's sex god persona he's created. I don't think so. It was about time Jack was called out for being crap in bed, and maybe use this to learn how to actually have sex. All the boys in the group think I'm an ass for calling Jack out. Me and the girls disagree. Edit! Holy cow, this got way more attention than I thought it would. Thanks for all the comments, and thank you, kind strangers, for the awards. Should clear a few things up. A lot of people asking why I was or am friends with Jack. I was back then because, honestly, at times, he was a decent guy, just blanketed by a douchey exterior. After I moved out of the house, we fell out of close contact but are still hovering in mutual friend circles. I'm not directly friends with him now, but he's still a friend of a friend and we are normally civil. Edit number 2. I don't really know why people are misunderstanding the story. For the record, I did not cheat on my husband. Jack and I had a one-night stand together years ago while we were at university. I wouldn't consider him my friend now, but we still have mutuals from different social circles, and we do occasionally still see one another. Info! Basically, my friend group, close, mutual, extended, all knew or knew of each other at university. I'm British and now live in the States. I attended university between the ages of 18 to 21. At 19, I went to the States for a year abroad, and the sister university is where I met my now husband. Jack is American and was an international student doing exchange. I was first year, he was second year. I, a first year, ended up living with Jack because I decided to go to university last minute, and as halls were full, ended up responding to a house share ad. A lot of students drop out after making a house share commitment, so these ads are common. I actually met my husband, also American, through Jack, as Jack was one of my only known contacts when I moved to the States. My British university and his American university were linked. I met my husband a year after I slept with Jack. I could not possibly have had any idea that my housemate and one-night stand would go on to introduce me to my future husband. My husband knew Jack and I slept together because, unfunnily enough, Jack brought it up on our first meeting. Living together, Jack and I mainly bonded over weed and raves, and although he was sometimes somewhat decent, looking back, I'm disgusted at our so-called friendship. I could write an essay on how he treated me. Alright folks, are they the butthole? In my opinion, no. However, there is always an option where nobody really gets their feelings hurt, but he should not have been talking about having sex with the other people in attendance to that barbecue thing. However, you are a bit of a doorknob for hosting a barbecue in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, your state's opened up, but you shouldn't trust the dummy politicians with whether or not it's safe to do stuff like that. Come on. Alright, we have a little bit of an update, Aroni and Cheese, from that last story, thankfully. In regards to my Am I the Butthole post. Honestly, reading through the comments of women praising me for standing up and being honest warms my heart. I greatly appreciate the support I got, and the response my post got has encouraged me to be a stronger person. Yes, in that moment I was angry, but now I feel that I can continue standing up for myself and not taking any more crap. I ended up telling my husband I posted this on Reddit, and seeing how popular the post was and the comments for himself, he was immediately upset that people called him a butthole for not standing up to me. From that, we had a long and maybe overdue discussion. I laid out how embarrassing the situation was for me, and how, after dealing with so much crap from Jack, I wasn't going to apologize for tearing him down. Like so many people commented on, I asked my husband why he was okay with Jack's comments, as surely Jack embarrassed him as well. I even pointed to a hilarious string of comments with my personal favorites. I think it's funny that the husband was disagreeing, like, "Honey, be nice and tell Jack he has bomb-ass penis. Go ahead and tell everyone he laid the pipe. Go on." My husband reasoned, "That's just Jack. He doesn't really mean any harm in what he jokes about." I told my husband how I felt, and he honestly didn't realize that all this time, the sexual jokes made me so uncomfortable and that I just covered up my uneasiness by just going along with it. I also wanted to distance myself from his friends, close and mutual, as right now, I feel like there was never any respect before, and certainly won't be any respect for me after, as I'm still getting messages from the boys calling me a bimbo, a floozy, and a whore. You name it. I told my husband that if he wasn't gonna stand up for me or stand with me, I would leave him. The persona he has around his friends is completely different from his true personality, and is not the man I married. I respect myself more than to let my husband and his friends disregard my feelings in such a blatant way. And worse, allow my husband to witness and just stand by me getting publicly humiliated. My husband is not confrontational whatsoever and admitted he was also very embarrassed but kept quiet. He has never said anything before because Jack is the ringleader of the group and didn't want to go up against him. And as it turns out, it isn't the first time Jack has made comments about me to my husband. I just haven't been there to witness it. Furious at that, I told my husband that breaking away from the toxic group would be best for the both of us. But if he wants to be Jack's lapdog, then I won't get in the way of that. I'm pleased to say my husband chose me. He apologized for his own complicit behavior and agreed our lives would improve without our so-called friends. I thank me pointing out that his friends disrespecting me were in turn disrespecting him, got him to see the reality of it. Truthfully, if they had any shred of respect for him as a friend, they would not be putting him down publicly as well. We were both the butt of the joke. One last point. I didn't apologize to Jack and I never intend to. Honestly, I never intend to speak to him again. But I did message him before I blocked him. To sum up, I messaged to detail point by point why he was bad in bed. That having a big penis doesn't equate to being great in bed. And to get off his high horse. Women are not sexual objects for you to parade around and embarrass. And maybe if you could please a woman, you wouldn't just rely on getting girls drunk from the club or bar. I also let him know that how he treats his female friends is appalling, and he needs to reflect not just on his sex game, but who he is as a person. So I've informed Jack of his lack of skills and he is no longer ignorant. If he continues with his behavior, that is not on me. For the record, yes, women should be open and honest in bed, but I don't think it should be a woman's responsibility to let a man know. I mean, guys, read the room. Once again, thank you for the brilliant and supportive comments. Thank you for the awards, and finally, to all the Chads, lads, bros, and Jacks out there. You ain't crap. Sincerely, women everywhere. Alright guys, hold your horses. Now, what everyone's been waiting for, the opinion of a man. Now, before you get upset, that was just a joke. And the point of jokes like that is to make fun of the people that would say something like that unironically. And I get a lot of confusion in the comments saying like, how could you say something like that? But then there's usually someone there to explain that it was just satirical, but I digress. Anyway, continuing with what I was saying. I feel like the ultimatum she gave her husband was a bit unnecessary, because it's not like they've had this conversation before. No one gave anyone else a chance to listen to them and tried to take their feelings into account. Because what if you sparked an epiphany in Jack as soon as he read that message? He's like, wow, I really should have, been considerate. I should really analyze myself. Obviously, no one can tell you who you can and cannot have in your life. If you want to cut these people off, you're 100% allowed to do so. The ultimatum for the husband, though, I feel like that was a bit much because they're married, and so I feel like these are the kinds of things that you should resolve before marriage. But again, at least it worked out in the end. This story's called, Am I the Butthole for Calling My Pregnant Sister-in-Law a Vengeful Stuck-Up Bimbo? My brother, John, 30 male, and I, 25-year-old female, had been very close since childhood. Our dad left my mother for another woman when we were kids. Because of the alimony, money was never an issue for us. However, John was the only source of emotional support for me and my mom. Mom says she survived Dad's betrayal only because John was there for her. John met my sister-in-law, Allie, in college. They started dating, fell in love, and got married. Allie always had this weird air of superiority around her. To be frank, she's pretty vain too. Cares a lot about her looks, is always dressed up. You'll never catch her when she's not looking like a 90s celebrity. John has been different ever since he met her, and even though he makes time for Mom and myself, it's always clear on his face that he'd rather spend time with her than us. house. Mom hates this, but doesn't say anything. We've tried to warm up to her and include her in the family, but she stays aloof. It's this fake persona she puts up, where she fake laughs and fake smiles her way through family dinners. I know she fakes it because I've seen the way she is with John. Carefree, loving, gentle. She's 7 months pregnant right now. Mom was really excited for this as she assumed she'd be the one to babysit my nephew, as Allie is a practicing dermatologist and she would find it hard to juggle baby and work. Don't juggle babies. We ran this idea through John and he was fine with it. Yesterday, we were FaceTiming with John and Allie. Mom brings up the babysitting topic and Allie goes, "Oh, there's no need of that. I've decided I'll be a stay-at-home mom until the baby starts school." I was flabbergasted. I asked her if she was really gonna leave years of hard work for a baby. She replied, "I don't think I can trust anyone else but myself with a baby. Maybe eventually, but I'm not letting it out of my sight for the initial years." I called Baffle Gab soliloquy on that. I had a gut feeling this woman was only doing this to devastate Mom further. I told her that she's a vengeful, stuck-up bimbo for playing these petty games with her family. I also told John that he can do better and shouldn't waste his time on someone so petty. This idea of being a stay-at-home mother only came after she came to know that Mom offered to babysit. Allie said that she has nothing against us, and in fact, we're the ones who make her feel unwanted. John agreed and said that Mom is free to visit the baby whenever she wants. She can even move in with him if she wishes, but that she is cutting me off until I apologize to his wife. Mom thinks I was very harsh with sister-in-law and I should apologize. I stand by what I said. I've seen the way she's changed John over the years, and now she's trying to keep the grandchild away from Mom? Am I the butthole? Alright guys, let's play a round of Are They the Butthole? In my opinion, I think they're both buttholes here. While the emotion might have been justified, things said in anger are hardly ever worth saying. Even if you feel like she's doing things to be spiteful, blowing up on someone like that is not really ever a good idea. Now is a good time to apologize and say, "Hey, I'm sorry for what I said. Here's why I said that. This is how I feel. This is how I feel is what's going on." Basically, just explain what led you to say that, what led you to feel like that was justified. Just talk about things and you might become best freaking friends. No harm in the apology. Also, you have to realize that this is a grown, married man now. If you feel like something's off, then talk about it, but you need to realize that his priorities are going to be a little bit different now. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Alright, this story's called Am I the Butthole for Making a Dad Joke? Note, my stepdaughter, Madeline, was about a year old when I married her mother, Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad, I don't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change. I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules." That happened about 2 days ago. So our family was going grocery shopping when Madeline said, "I'm hungry, I need food." I decide to be extremely cheeky and say, "Hi, hungry, I'm not your dad." My son just started laughing uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment. And my wife was berating me not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke, and my son agrees. So am I the butthole? Edit. I did adopt her, so I legally am her parent. Mini update. I'll probably give a full update later, but here is what happened so far. I go to my daughter's room after dinner and begin talking with her. "Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you by the words I said. And I am really your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college. And plus, I'm legally your dad. So we're stuck together. But seriously, I'm going to love you like my daughter, even if you don't think I'm your dad. Then I hugged her. She did start to cry. I assume that's good. Alright, this guy, he did everything right. See, I'm a firm believer in joking around, and if she's okay with saying stuff like that, even if it is out of a fit of annoyance or something, then he should be allowed to tease her for it. And it's a really good thing that he went back later and apologized and said all those things, because that's what I would have said to do had I read it before the update. So yeah, he did nothing wrong. The girl, obviously she shouldn't have said that, but she is a 15-year-old, so yeah, what are you gonna do? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.